Hello, everybody. Welcome to Action Theater Presents, where we're beginning our film noir month. And we're starting out today with the Maltese Falcon, and deleted scenes will be along shortly. I hope so. Uh, okay, let me read you the synopsis. Oh, come on. Okay, the Maltese Falcon from 1941. A private detective, Sam Spade, is a nonsense lawyer whose partner is killed while pursuing a case. A Spade seeks out the killer. He becomes entangled in a sinister plot to locate a priceless 16th century statue known as the Maltese Falcon. So we'll join the show in 20 minutes or so. That was at 2:24. Okay. Uh, let's see. Hello to Snortopoopas Cubear. Saying, how humans and other critters. Always good to see you, Snortopoopas Cubear. Hello, the Connie Clary, the bird woman of YouTube. Watch out for her second channel, Fluff Chick Productions. Always great to see you, strong supporter of both of our channels. We appreciate you, Connie. Hello to Andrea Black. All right. Of course, you get the screening room right there, pinned at the top of the message. It's okay uh, at the top of the chat. As always, we would love to show you these here, but we're not allowed because we're restricted by the guides and rules and regulations of YouTube, so we cannot. Um, this film is available on uh, Fandango at home for purchase or rent. It might be available to watch on YouTube to rent, or it might be free. I don't know. I don't know which. But we can't show you. I regret for me. You can't catch this broadcast. You won't be able to watch along because we provide a screening room, and that's why we give our commentary. Uh, so regretfully, if you're here after the fact, the film will not be available. You'll have to seek it out on either here on YouTube to rent or Fandango at home. You might want to try uh, Tubi or Pluto. There's some good sites that might be the film might available. And so I guess our friend Deleted Scenes is running a little bit late. Uh, but for you guys, uh, we'll kick it off here and just head over to the screening room and we'll start it off. I gotta load up film. I gotta load it up. I'm doing that now. All right, everybody. So head on over to the screening room and we'll start the film, okay? Here we go. I'll give you a countdown. In five, four, three, two, go. The Warner Brothers logo. the Maltese Falcon. I'm sure I've seen this when I was a kid, but so I vaguely remember. So I'm happy that we're watching this, that we're doing this. Directed by John Hudson. 1539, the Ninth Emperor's model paid tribute to the Charles V of Spain, sending him a golden falcon encrusted from break to claw with rich jewels. But pirates seized the gallery carrying the priceless token, and the fate of the Maltese falcon remains. Started in San Francisco. Here's our star of the film, Humphrey Bogart. Detective Spade. It's just stuff that dreams are made of. Yeah. Spade and Archer. Wow, well, we're just getting it started right away, aren't we? Is his partner getting killed? We just started the film. We're 6 minutes and 41 seconds into it. Welcome to the stream, deleted scenes. Just started the film. We're 6 minutes and 41
Yeah,
seconds
I
into it.
missed the setup, sadly, because this
Welcome
movie
to the stream, deleted scenes.
wastes no
Just
time.
started the film. Yeah, you see that.
Thank you to everyone joining us. I see the Bird Woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary, friend of the channel, Andrea Black. I see the world's greatest Snortopoopus Q Burr, in the chat. We, of course, have had the opening scene where Spade and Archer meet Bridget O'Shaughnessy, who hires them to track down a fellow named Thursby. And it seems that Thursby has gotten the drop on Archer here. Or did he? That's going to be very much the question. And if I remember correctly, this is Ward Bond. The cop that actually likes Spade. The other one very much does not, and is trying to pin something on him. Constantly. Yeah. Oh, is that all?
Funny, I thought we saw him shot from the front.
Archer was shot from the front. Thursby was shot in the back.
Okay, because
Yeah,
they
two
showed
dead.
that they showed a guy getting shot, and he was getting shot from the front.
Yeah. We see Archer die. We don't see Thursby die because we're not supposed to know who killed Thursby yet. Well, we don't know who killed Miles yet, technically, but yeah, you get my drift.
Yeah.
Mhm. The long-suffering secretary, Effie Perrine. Who steals this movie? I don't care. Mm. Wonderly, LeBlanc. She's going to go through a few names before this is over.
I believe what all you need to cast it to your television is like if you have a Roku or a Fire Stick, uh, and then you could. I think it works that way. I've never tried it. I've been curious about that myself. But yeah, I think it should just you can cast it to your TV with your Wi-Fi.
I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. Oh, wait. Live by the gun, die by the gun, so to speak. Of course, getting shot with your own gun is a little embarrassing.
Welcome, Lady Mist. 23, 23.
Oh, and this is where things get a little sticky.
This guy's got crazy eyes.
Peter Lorre as Joel Cairo. And this is the part of the movie where you got to start reading between the lines a bit.
Was he the guy who was in Rebel Without a Cause?
No,
Okay.
no, he's not in. He's not in that. Hi, Kiba. And no, for any of you younger viewers out there, he didn't give him that extra smack just because he's gay. Well, maybe he did. I don't know. Kind of have to read. Yeah. We found your perfumed handkerchief. Sorry. Kind of there. It's always 5,000. You notice that?
Yeah. Well, this is pre World War II, and
Yeah.
you know, money would have went a lot further back then.
Wilmer. Elijah Cook Jr. is the assassin, Wilmer. And Star Trek fans might remember him from the original series in the court martial episode where he plays the attorney, Cogley, who's defending Kirk. Hello to Lieutenant Giratina. Thank you for the Valiant Renegade raid. Oh, and by the way, I got that Cosme thing running.
Yeah, so if you guys can broadcast from
Mm-hmm.
Cosme, you can broadcast it to your TV as long as you have Wi-Fi in your home. And you can just keep your computer on, I guess, or
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you could stream it to your big TV to watch the film. We are watching 1941's The Maltese Falcon, starring Humphrey Bogart, and we are 33 minutes 2 sec in into it.
Being as he technically doesn't know what the hell's going on, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, button it, Nancy. Well, we'll see about that. No. Yeah, criminy.
I think he needs to get taller and more. He's a scrawny little guy.
Ladies, please. Canada. Mm. Mhm. Not Constantinople. It's not over yet. Okay.
We're at 46:38.
Say. Hmm. Sydney Green Street is Mr. Gutman, aka the Fat Man. Just wants them to think he's crazy. Eh, mm. Hagiba! Oh, crap.
I think he's been poisoned. No.
L2FK C 2005, sometimes known as Tim. We're about halfway through Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, our
A
timestamp
little past that, yeah.
1 hour 5 minutes 18 seconds.
They're approaching our third act here. And the La Paloma is on fire and sinking. Okay.
Gee, I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, I can't imagine why. Captain Jacoby, good evening. Mandoon. That's three. Quite. Mm. Uh, Tim says there's a street in Sydney named Green Street. So there's a real Sydney Green Street.
He's taking it with him?
Yeah. Head out on the highway. Looking for adventure and whatever comes our way. Oh, sorry. Here's our big confrontation scene. That's pretty much going to go on for the rest of the film. Yeah, he was Pritchett in the original House on Haunted Hill. Yeah, as well. No, he liked prison too much. Hello to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Ah, thanks, baby. Oops. The hello to the comic book crusader. Cosmeo link should be at the top of the chat. Yeah, I brought that up earlier, Tim. Yeah, yeah, you would.
Hello, Comic Book Crusader. Good to see you. 1 hour. We're at 1 hour 26 minutes 18 seconds.
Mm, see ya, Tuts. So we're finally going to get a look at the Boyd.
Wasn't there supposed to be jewels in the eyes or something?
Well, read it. I admit mistakes were made. Not Constantinople. Whoops. Hmm. Hello to Big Al Presents. We're right at the end of the film. Pretty much. I'll send you over. And fall. Sup for you. My partner is killed. He's supposed to do something about it. The partner is supposed to do something about it. dreams are made of.
You're welcome, Lady Miss. All right, that was the Maltese Falcon from 1941. Uh, is there some scrolls to be read to lead
All
into?
right. The Maltese Falcon was released October 18th, 1941, in the United States. Estimated budget 375,000, going on to gross 41, according to IMDb, $41,894 uh, worldwide. Was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Writing Screenplay, aka Adapted Screenplay now, and Sidney Greenstreet for Supporting Actor. Was nominated in 2024 for a Saturn Award for Best Home Media Collection Release, Warner Brothers 100th Anniversary 25 Film Collection, Volume 4, Thriller, Sci-Fi, and Horror. Additional titles including Full Metal Jacket, Goodfellas, the director's cut of Natural Born Killers, Shawshank Redemption, Interview with the Vampire, Seven, The Matrix, The Green Mile, Inception, The Conjuring, Gravity, Her, Annabelle, It, and Dune Part 1. In 2008, won the Online Film and Television Association Hall of Fame. Was added to the National Film Registry in 1989. Winner of 4 Photoplay Awards in 1942. Best Picture of the Month, January. Mary Astor for Best Performance of the Month, along with Humphrey Bogart and Sidney Greenstreet. Won 2 National Board of Review Awards. Best Actor and Actress for Mary Astor and Humphrey Bogart. All right. Other titles: The Gent from Frisco, The Knight of Malta. All right. Let's see. Production took place between June 9th, 1941 and July 18th, 1941, with retakes in August to September of 1941. Filming locations: San Francisco for the Bay Bridge, Warner Brothers Burbank Studios, Stage 14, 17, 6, and 9, Bush Street, San Francisco, where Miles was killed, the Ferry Building, and the Golden Gate Bridge. All right, on to the trivia. George Raft was originally cast as Sam Spade. He allegedly turned it down because it was, quote, not an important picture, taking advantage of a clause in his contract that said he did not have to work on remakes. However, according to John McCarty, author of The Films of John Huston, in an Icon's radio interview, 10707, the real reason Raft bowed out was because this was the directorial debut of John Huston, who had been a successful screenwriter. Raft didn't want to put his career in the hands of a first time director. When he completed the screenplay, Huston storyboarded it, allowing him time to plan out pictorial composition and camera movement. The whole setup took 2 days to rehearse. Sam Spade refers to Wilmer as a gunzel, a gunman. The Yiddish term gunzel, literally little goose, may indeed be a vulgarism for the other F word that we can't say on the air.
Oh no.
Yeah, uh, is more commonly an underground term that refers to a person who's either a fall guy or a stool pigeon. In which case, Spade is making both a direct and indirect reference to Wilmer's character. And in this movie, probably not entirely wrong. um, 8 Maltese Falcon statues were used for the movie, 2 lead and 6 plaster ones. The lead falcons weighed about 50 pounds each. Lee Patrick accidentally dropped one on Humphrey Bogart's foot during shooting. It is on display in the movie museum at Warner Brothers Studios. Its tail feathers are visibly dented from when it was dropped. Filming was completed in 2 months at a cost of less than $300,000. It was the film debut of Sidney Greenstreet. The Maltese Falcon itself is said to have been inspired by the Nipphausen Hawk, a ceremonial pouring vessel made in 1697 for George William von Nipphausen. I'm probably getting that wrong. Count of the Holy Roman Empire. It is modeled after a hawk perched on a rock and is encrusted with red garnets, amethysts, emeralds, and blue sapphires. The vessel, as of 2012, is owned by the Duke of Devonshire, Peregrine Cavendish, and is part of the Chatsworth collection. The role of Bridget O'Shaughnessy was originally offered to 27-year-old Geraldine Fitzgerald. Although the studio desperately wanted a newcomer in the role, she turned it down because it interfered with a scheduled trip to the East Coast. It was next offered to Mary Astor. John Huston and Humphrey Bogart visited her at her home to talk over the script, and she was immediately smitten by their palpable excitement about the project. Already familiar with the novel, she was even more impressed with the screenplay, which she thought was, quote, a humdinger. She signed on straight away. At 357 pounds, yes, you heard that right, 60-year-old British newcomer Sidney Greenstreet was so large that the studio had to specially manufacture his entire wardrobe for the role of Caspar Gutman. The chair in which Greenstreet sits while talking with Sam Spade in the hotel was also specially made for him. The chairs in the prop department was going to use weren't wide enough to accommodate Greenstreet's girth, nor strong enough to support his weight. The climactic confrontation scene lasts nearly 20 minutes, 1/5 of the entire runtime of the film. It involves all 5 principal characters, and filming required over 1 week. One day, July 4th, was taken off. In 2007, the American Film Institute ranked this as the 31st greatest movie of all time. Ranked number 6 on the American Film Institute's list of top 10 greatest films in the mystery genre as of June 2008. This was, of course, as mentioned, the directorial debut of screenwriter-actor John Huston. Note, John Nugliesco, Not sure I ever pronounced his name right. Began work on the film. It would have been his feature directorial debut, but he was replaced after 2 months by Houston. Total cost of designing, casting, and painting all the Maltese Falcons prepared for the film was less than $700. After Warner Brothers saw how successful the film was, it was decided to produce a sequel. Director Houston had written a script for the sequel to be titled Three Strangers. The film was supposed to contain many of the primary characters from this film, specifically Sam Spade. Before the film reached production, however, Dashiell Hammett informed Warner Brothers that he owned the rights to the characters. And even though the studio had purchased the rights to the novel, it did not own the rights to the characters. Three Strangers was eventually filmed, with different characters. Peter Lorre and Sidney Greenstreet appeared in both. Warner Brothers planned to change the name of the film to The Gent from Frisco because the novel's title had already been used for the Maltese Falcon. Um, the studio eventually agreed to keep the original title at John Huston's insistence. Although he storyboarded every scene, Huston was open to abandoning his plans if his more experienced cast came up with something better. He estimated that 3/4 of the time he used his original setups, but for the remaining quarter he adopted ideas that the cast had come up with during rehearsal. In real life, Dashiell Hammett had been a one-time operative for the Pinkerton Detective Agency. Bridget O'Shaughnessy was partly based on his secretary, Peggy O'Toole, and partially on a woman who once employed him to fire her housekeeper. Joel Cairo was based on a man Hammett picked up on a forgery charge in 1920, while Wilmer the gunman was drawn from a petty criminal who went by the nickname the Midget Bandit. After she landed the part of Ilsa in Casablanca, Ingrid Bergman watched this film repeatedly as to study Humphrey Bogart's acting technique. Cameo: Walter Huston as Captain Jacoby. Huston did this as a good luck gesture for his son. He had to promise the notoriously tight-headed studio Jack Warner that he wouldn't charge for his appearance. Huston planned every part of the film to the very last detail, storyboarding all of it. His notes on the script were so efficient that not one line of dialogue was changed in the final edit. This was the first pairing of Sidney Greenstreet and Peter Lorre, who would go on to make 9 more movies together. The now famous 7-minute take, truly innovative in its day, took 2 days to rehearse. Mary Astor's off-screen notoriety was instrumental in her casting. She had been in several scandals concerning affairs she had been involved in during her marriage. When she first came to Hollywood, she had an affair with the much older John Barrymore. Her husband had been killed in a plane crash. She'd been married multiple times, which was considered scandalous behavior in those times, and she was an alcoholic. During a bitter custody hearing, a diary she'd kept recounting her various sexual exploits were made public. Her former secretary had stolen it and gave it to her soon-to-be former husband, Franklin Thorpe, whose attorney, Joseph Anderson, leaked copies of cherry-picked passages to the press, and the salacious details were splashed across the front pages of most newspapers in the country for the duration of the trial. One of the first films admitted to the National Film Registry in its inaugural year, 1989. Most of the film was shot sequentially. Much of the movie is filmed over Humphrey Bogart's shoulder, so the audience can be in on his point of view. Sidney Greenstreet was subsequently cast whenever Warner Brothers had difficulty finding an actor large enough. As a joke, Walter Huston kept fumbling his walk-on cameo, so his son had to do a lot of different takes. Peter Lorre was once quoted as saying this was the favorite out of all of his films. Having seen how to profligate novice writer-directors like Orson Welles and Preston Sturges had been, Warner Brothers was not keen on giving John Huston too much control. The studio acquiesced when Huston agreed to do an immediate polish on the script for Sergeant York. A copy of Huston's first draft script was accidentally sent to studio head Jack L. Warner, as well as the film's designated producer Henry Blank. To Huston's surprise, Warner loved the script and insisted that Huston start shooting it immediately. Mary Astor was having an affair with John Huston during the making of the film. Damn, that woman got around. Shit. Uh, Three of the Falcon statuettes made for the production still exist and are conservatively valued at $1 million each. This makes
Wow.
them some of the most valuable film props ever made. Indeed, each is now worth more than 3 times what the film cost to make. Okay. I'm going to say this is written. Okay. Okay. For decades, this film could not be legally shown on U.S. television stations because of its underlying suggestions of illicit sexual activity among the characters, i.e., O'Shaughnessy's promiscuity and indications that Joel Cairo was a homosexual. I don't think it's indicated. I think it's pretty clear. um, from the start, Peter Lorre was always John Huston's first choice to play Joel Cairo. Frustrated at seeing his script for Juarez rewritten by Paul Muni, the film star John Huston vowed that from then on he would direct his own screenplays and therefore not have to see them get meddled with. He was fortunate in that he had a staunch ally in the former producer Henry Blank, who was happy to fulfill Huston's wish. Elisha Cook Jr., of course, played Wilmer, was the last surviving cast member when he died May 18th, 1995, at the age of 91. Humphrey Bogart has absolutely no resemblance to the character of Sam Spade as described in the book. There he is over 6 feet tall, has a V-shaped chin and mouth, a hooked nose, and blonde hair. He is referred to by author Dashiell Hammett as looking like a blonde Satan. Humphrey Bogart had to supply his own wardrobe, but this was common practice at Warner Brothers as a way for the studio to save money. Bogart and Astor's dialogue-heavy final scene took 3 days to shoot. The Screen Guild Theater broadcast a 30-minute radio adaptation of the movie September 20th, 1943, with Bogart, Astor, Greenstreet, and Laurie, and on May 18th, 1950, with Bogart reprising his role with his wife Lauren Bacall, and again at the Academy Award Theater, July 3rd, 1946, with Bogart, Greenstreet, and Astor reprising their film roles. According to Mary Astor, in her autobiography, A Life on Film, Sidney Greenstreet was very nervous before his first scene and remarked, "Mary, my dear, hold my hand, tell me I won't make an ass of myself." Greenstreet appeared in a special trailer to promote the film. The small pistol that Cairo pulls on Spade during their first meeting in Spade's office is a Colt Model 1908 vest pocket pistol in a .25 ACP caliber. The radio station call letters on a building outside of Sam's office window. KLVW is now an FM station in Odessa, Texas, known as K-Love. It plays Christian contemporary music. Even though Warner Brothers executives were happy with John Huston's draft of the screenplay, they put restrictions on the first-time director's production by allotting him only 6 weeks to shoot the film with a $300,000 budget. If Huston happened to go over budget, Warner Brothers warned him that he would be looking for a job elsewhere. However, Huston left nothing to chance. He tailored the screenplay to include shot-by-shot instructions for him and his crew, detailing the setup of each and every scene. The final screenplay was so finely laid out that one could read the script and perfectly visualize the finished film. This method was used by Huston only for this film. Other directors like Alfred Hitchcock and later Steven Spielberg would employ this method more frequently throughout their careers. It was producer Henry Blank who gave Huston what he recalled as the single greatest piece of advice he could ever receive as a director. Shoot each scene as if it is the most important scene in the film. A few of the principal actors became close friends during the shooting. Bogart, Laurie, Ward Bond, and Mary Astor would often join John Huston at the Lakeside Country Club for drinks, buffet supper, and good conversation, usually until midnight. Bogart always considered Laurie and Huston great pals, mostly because they met two principal criteria: they weren't boring, and they could drink like fish. John Huston and company tickled themselves with a number of on-set jokes. As Mary Astor recounted in her autobiography, the cast and crew had a system whereby Huston would signal for a certain practical joke to be played for visitors to the set. For the benefit of visiting starstruck social club women, the number five had Humphrey Bogart going into a prepared act with Sidney Greenstreet. He'd start yelling and cursing at him, calling him a fat old fool. Who the hell do you think you are? You upstaged me, and I'm telling you, I'm not having any. At which point, Houston would then jump into the act, holding back Bogart's mocked rage. Very quickly, the embarrassed and disillusioned ladies would shuffle towards the nearest exit. Meanwhile, the number 10 had Peter Lorre coming out of Astor's dressing room at the appropriate moment, adjusting his fly and saying, "See you later, Mary." Jeez. Okay. Right. During production, the cast and crew had a feeling they were shooting something exciting and tried to deter any unwanted visitors from coming to the set. Publicity people brought a group of priests to the set. Before shooting began, Mary Ann looked down at her legs and says, "Wait a minute, I got a goddamn wrong in my stocking." While publicity quickly got the priest off the set. Oh, mm. For Humphrey Bogart, the experience of the film was the tops. He later said it was practically a masterpiece. "I don't have many things I'm proud of, but that's one." Bogart so respected John Huston and Sam Spade character that he searched until the end of his life for a script that recaptured the excitement he found in this film. A few years before his death, Bogart revealed that he had purchased a book to be adapted into a film for himself and his wife Lauren Bacall. "We might do it," he told a radio interviewer, in association with John Huston. "It's a little on the order of the Maltese Falcon." Despite the numerous practical jokes his cast and crew played, Houston proved himself to be a consummate professional and so efficient at his job that the crew often finished shooting for the day early, well ahead of schedule. On one of those days, Houston had set aside an entire day to shoot one elaborate moving camera sequence. The sequence lasted about 7 minutes, and he nailed it perfectly in one take. The rest of the day was spent at the golf club, and it was because of days like this that the production finished 2 days ahead of schedule and $54,000 under budget. After Houston was informed of who was to be his leading man, he said, "I thanked God. It was a blessing." To cast Humphrey Bogart, Warner Brothers took him off his suspension for refusing to appear in Bad Men of Missouri. As Sidney Greenstreet performed his first scene flawlessly, John Huston held his breath, a nervous tic that stayed with him throughout his career as a director. The film is included on Roger Ebert's Great Movies list. Spade finds a theater ticket for the evening of Wednesday the 18th in Kyra's pocketbook. Production of the film took place in June and July of 1941, and since June is the only month of 1941 on which the 18th fell on Wednesday, the ticket obtained from the Geary Theater must have been for Wednesday, 18 June 1941. In the evening, Spade tells I keep wanting to say Ingrid, tells Bridget that Cairo is at the theater, hence the exact day is known. Gladys George received third billing despite having dialogue in only 2 scenes and being seen for just a few seconds in a third. The street sign at the intersection of Stockton Street and Bush Street is just 1 block away from Monroe, where Dashiell Hammett, the author of the novel, lived for a few months in 1926. Monroe was renamed Dashiell Hammett Street in his honor in 1988. The wall calendar in Spade's office shows March of 1940. Included at number 23 of the American Film Institute's 1998 list of 100 greatest American movies, ranked 31st in AFI's updated 2007 list. Spade walks past a poster for the non-existent movie The Girl from Albany. This is an inside joke aimed at Warner Brothers, who wanted to title the movie The Gent from Frisco. Other actors considered to play Sam Spade: Warner Baxter, Brian Dunleavy, Melvin Douglas, Henry Fonda, Preston Foster, Fred McMurray, Frederick March, Robert Montgomery, Paul Muni, Lloyd Nolan, Anthony Quinn, Edward G. Robinson, François Tone, and Richard Worf. In short, everybody. Actresses considered for Bridget O'Shaughnessy: Joan Bennett, Ingrid Bergman, Lorraine Day, Frances D., Olivia de Havilland, Betty Field, Janet Gaynor, Paulette Goddard, Rita Hayworth, Ruth Hussey, Dorothy Lamour, Brenda Marshall, and Loretta Young. In short, everybody. This film's earliest documented telecast took place in Tucson, Arizona. Hey, Tuesday, 28th of August, 1956, on KDWI Channel 9. It first appeared in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Wednesday, September 19th, 1956, on KOAT Channel 7. In Boston, Massachusetts, Thursday, 20th of September, 1956, on WBZ Channel 4. In Bellingham, Washington, Sunday, 18 November 1956, on KVOS Channel 12. In Indianapolis, Indiana, Sunday, December 9th, 1956, on WFBM Channel 6. And in Fort Worth, Texas, Friday the 4th of January, 1957, on KFJZ Channel 11. Features Sidney Greenstreet's only Oscar-nominated performance. In the book, Captain Jacoby is a giant. Dashiell Hammett describes his entry into Spade's office as follows: he stood in the doorway with his soft hat crushed between his head and the top of the door frame. He was nearly 7 feet tall. A statuette of the Maltese Falcon appears on top of a bookcase in the DA's office in the Warner Brothers film Illegal, starring Edward G. Robinson. In the 2003 best-selling book The Black Dahlia Avenger, author Steve Hodel claims that his late father, Dr. George Hill Hodel, was guilty of the 1947 murder of Elizabeth Short, famously dubbed the Black Dahlia by the press. Hodel further asserts that his father's accomplice in the crime was Fred Sexton, the artist commissioned by Warner Brothers to create the Maltese Falcon statue. If the Maltese Falcon statuette were approximated as a cylinder, 11.5 inches tall and 3.5 inches in diameter and made of solid gold, it would weigh 77 pounds or under 1,125 troy ounces. Spade identifies the Archer murder weapon as a Webley Fosbury automatic revolver. The first produced in 1901, it was handily outclassed 10 years later by the Colt 1911 .45 automatic. A distinguishing characteristic of the Webley is the zigzag channel around the outside of the barrel that fits into a metal stud in the frame. When the gun is fired, the top section of the gun recoils, causing the angled channel in the barrel to push against the stud, causing the cylinder to rotate, moving the fresh round into place. One of the original Falcon props can be seen on a counter in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It is owned by Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay. Spade's familiarity with the Webley automatic revolver was due to the fact that sometime before 1914, he was in England. No explanation as to why is given as to why he was there. The Maltese Falcon is the only book by Dashiell Hammett in which Sam Spade appears, and there's very little backstory. It is stated, however, that sometime in the past, Spade had worked for a large private investigation firm, which presumably was when he made contacts with various police officers, the district attorney and assistant district attorney house detectives of various hotels, and at least one owner of a limousine company. As to Spade's age, no gray hair is mentioned, and he presumably would have been an adult in 1913, so this would make his age to be somewhere between 27 and 37 years old. At the time of filming, Humphrey Bogart was 41. Dashiell Hammett's description of Sam Spade bears no resemblance to Bogart. Spade is, we've seen it. Powerful with stubby fingers and with a chin, nose, mouth, and brows having a distinct V shape. Described as a devilish look with yellowy eyes, the image is reminiscent of a somewhat sinister version of Vincent Price. This was a coincidence as the book was released in 1929, 9 years before Price's first film role. With the exception of brief parts involving Gutman's remorseful and drugged daughter, a wild goose chase to a vacant house to distract Spade, several meetings with Spade's attorney, and dialogue referring to Archer's half-brother, half-suspecting Spade in the murder. The movie follows the book very closely, including virtually all of the dialogue. The term Maltese Falcon does not appear in the book until page 424, 16 pages before the end, when Gutman writes off Wilbur saying, "Well, by gad, you lose a son, it's possible to get another. There is only one Maltese Falcon." In the film, Spade's final speech to Bridget is shortened. In the book, he lists 7 reasons behind his decision. In the opening, the roof of the ferry building has a sign that reads Golden Gate Bridge Fiesta, May 27th to June 2nd. This is for the bridge's opening in 1937. Included among the American Film Institute's 2001 list of the top 100 most heart-pounding American movies. Gutman pronounces Falcon with a broad A, and for the first and only time in this film by anyone, in all other instances is with an O. The trick Sam Spade used to lose the man tailing him, ringing several door buzzers in an attempt to gain an entry to a building, was earlier seen in the 1937 Popeye cartoon, Morning, Noon, and Night Club. In that instance, Bluto's character rings all of the doorbells of an apartment building in order to gain entry and to face a billboard next door that featured the dancers Pepita and Olvida. But unlike Spade's clandestine transit, Bluto's presence is noted by all of the tenants as he leaves. The San Francisco montage at the film's start focuses on 3 familiar landmarks, the Golden Gate Bay Bridges and the Colt Tower. As of 2021, all 3 are still familiar sights to visitors and residents alike. As Spade enters his office after his partner's murder, a vintage water cooler can be seen. The jugs were made of blue-tinted glass and quite heavy. The design still basically exists today, although the bottle is now blue plastic. The unique architectural window designs of San Francisco are recreated in the scene where Spade tells his client the shadows of a Venetian blind on the wall would be used almost 40 years later in the film American Gigolo. When Cairo first visits Spade's office, he is impeccably dressed right down to his walking stick, as befits a gentleman who had been out for the evening. Spade using a candlestick telephone, movies from 1941. In 1941, the rotary tabletop telephone came out. The newer tabletop phones would be used when a new telephone service was installed. But in an older building, the classic candlestick phones would still be in use. When the telephone company was a regulated monopoly, before 1984, phones would initially be installed and remain on the premises for years, sometimes for decades, before being replaced. The $1,000 bills that Gutman gives to Spade are 1915 Mexican 10 peso notes that have been altered to 1,000. These banknotes are commonly used in films at the time due to the restrictions on how the U.S. currency could be shown on screen. Okay. There's a lot more. We'd be here all night, so I'm just going to
Okay.
read a few more and then move on. Okay. Let's see. Note that Sam Spade mails the baggage claim ticket to himself. He writes on the envelope the post office box and just the word city instead of San Francisco, California. Before the advent of computerized equipment and zip codes, it was common practice to just write city on in town mail. Also, at the time, it only cost 3 cents to mail a first class letter. Although Wilmer Cook is described as being about 20 years old and is repeatedly referred to as a boy, Elisha Cook Jr. was 38 when he made the film. Uh, Elisha Cook Jr. portrayed a character, Wilmer, and had the same surname as his own. He plays a character with the same name in the film's spoof sequel to Black Bird. He also later portrays a character called Louis Tulsa Cook in The Outlaw's Daughter. During the Crusades, the Greek island of Rhodes was known as Hospitaller Rhodes. It was overseen by the Order of Knights of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, and their reign lasted from 1320 to 1522. Sidney Greenstreet mentions this history briefly when giving an overview of how the Maltese Falcon came to be created and what became of it. The striped robe worn by Mary Astor was worn by Benny Barnes until we meet again. Jack Warner insisted on the historical narrative that appears at the beginning of the film to make the plot less confusing. As everyone, including the viewer, is focused on Gutman chipping away at the Black Bird, it's easy to overlook Wilmer standing up and leaving. As Cairo whispers in Gutman's ear, Sam says to Wilmer, 6-2 and even, they're selling you out, Sonny. That's horse racing win place show betting terminology, meaning the odds are a 6-1 the horse will win, 2 the one horse comes in second, and even money if the horse finishes third. When listening to Bridget's story about Thursby, Spade pinches his lower lip. This quirk is right out of the novel. Miles Archer is shot and killed 2 minutes and 36 seconds after he first appears. Ouch. The scene where Sidney Greenstreet tries to get Humphrey Bogart to take a drink, which is drugged, was Greenstreet's first time in front of a Hollywood camera. The stuff that dreams are made of, a line suggested by Humphrey Bogart, was voted as the 14th as the number 14th movie quote in 2005 by the American Film Institute. The line is paraphrased from William Shakespeare's The Tempest. We are the stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is surrounded with a sleep. Okay. I'll make this the last one. There are 7. Uh, oh, the hell? Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. All right. There are several 11.5-inch tall Falcon props made for use in the film. Some were cast of plastic resin, some of lead. Only two 45-pound lead Falcons and two 5-pound 5.4-ounce resin Falcons are verified to be in existence. One lead Falcon has been displayed for years at various venues. The second, which was accidentally damaged at the end of the movie by Humphrey Bogart and Lee Patrick, was a gift to William Conrad by studio chief Jack L. Warner. It was auctioned in December 1994, 9 months after Conrad's death. Oh, ironically, William Conrad, Jake and Fat Man. That guy, yeah. Um, 9 months after Conrad's death, for $398 and as soon as I can speak, for $398,500 to Ronald Winston of Harry Winston Inc. At that time, it was the highest price ever paid for a movie prop. It was used to model a 10-pound gold replica displayed at the 69th Annual Academy Awards. Uh, the replica has Burmese ruby eyes, interchangeable claws, one set of gold, one set of coral, and holds a platinum chain in its beak with a 42.98 carat flawless diamond at the end. It's valued at over $8 million. The lead and resin falcons are valued in excess of $2 million. Coincidentally, the value placed on the real Maltese falcon by Casper Gubman. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to take a drink. Go ahead.
That's fine. So, yeah, we're going to continue our film noir series. I think next week we want to do The Big Sleep. Is that correct? Deleted scenes? Do you want to do that one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we'll next week come back here. Same Outlaw channel, same YouTube Ronin channel, and you'll find The Big Sleep starring, again, Humphrey Bogart.
Yep.
And I haven't seen that film, so it will be a first watch for me. Uh, that will
Right
be
on.
next week, and of course we have Western cinema with what did I say? Shango?
Shango. Yeah.
Shango, yeah. Coming up this Sunday, and then I found another one to follow that up with. We had a plan, but we'll put that plan on hold. But I found a Western with Paul Newman that we could show here, and then I have some other ideas. So stay tuned, and so next week we'll be doing The Big Sleep, and we're gonna follow up The Big Sleep the week after with Dick Tracy, and at the end of the month we will be doing Sin City for to round out our film noir series for this month. And I want to thank everybody for being here. Appreciate every one of you awesome people, and I hope you enjoyed what you've seen of it. This is available to rent. Probably on, more than likely here on YouTube. I rented this one from Fandango at home, but it's also, if you look hard enough, you might find it on Tubi or Pluto, available to watch. Once again, it's the novelization is in the public domain. The film remains copyrighted by Warner Brothers. So, yeah, that's one reason why we can't show it to you here on YouTube. We apologize. But as I like to say at the end of these things, always, always remain and be excellent to each other. Party on. And we'll see you on the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And now I give it over to YouTube Roman deleted scenes.
All right. All right. Well, I would like to thank everyone who joined us here today. We had at one point nearly 100 people watching us live. So,
Yeah,
and that's just on my end of things, and
yeah.
there's usually more than that on Bill's side. Thank you for everybody who was here, even if it was just for a few minutes.
Yep.
We really do appreciate it. Hope that you enjoyed the show. We do this every Thursday at the same time. We will be back next week with the Big Sleep, continuing from Noir Month. And I want to thank everybody who was in the chat with us here, both on StreamYard and on Cosme. And as I say at the end of every broadcast from HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond, good night, take care, stay strong, be safe and healthy, because this is how we win.